How many people have heard of simple interest before? Simple interest? Or just interest? Interest, okay. You know the interest, like when you put your money in the bank, like savings account, if you put savings account, like let's say the bank gives you 1% interest on that savings. So let's say I put down, I don't know, $100. After end of a year, how much do I get? I get $1 back, right? So this is kind of guaranteed that they give you $1 back, right? So what's the formula for this? This is called simple interest formula. One person? I think a lot of you, yeah. Yeah. So it's very simple notes, really quick. Yeah. You could write down it there. Yeah, you could write it down on that paper I gave you. That's fine. Yeah, you could just write on top of it. Yeah. Yeah, interest equals to 100. What is 100? That's how much money you put in, right? I'm going to call it the amount you invested. Because it kind of works on investments too. Like stocks. And have you guys heard of stocks before? And bonds? No? Okay, well, let me explain that. Okay, if you haven't, that's fine. And then amount invested times the annual interest rate, which is the rate right here, 1%, right? It gives you the simple interest. It gives you the interest. So, see, like you guys said, it's 100 times 1%, which is 1 of 100. You get 1, right? And so what stock is like what it is you're trusting a company that this company will do well. And you're saying, okay, I'm going to put my money into your company. And at the end of the year, if you guys do well, give us our share. You know what I mean? Of your profit. Yeah, like NASDAQ, they have the stock market, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You got the idea. So that's so on your book, like they're gonna say stock and bonds. Just they're a little bit different, but just think of it as the same thing. Okay, you're just investing some money into a company or something like that. You're putting in your money, and like banks, they guarantee you that you get that percentage, right? Now, is stock and bonds, are they guaranteed? No. Okay, so they give you a higher rate. Some stocks you could get up to like, I don't know, 20%, 30%, maybe 100%, I don't know, 200%. But is it guaranteed? No, it's only if the company does really, really, really well. Okay? Exactly, you don't know, so you're gambling. That's why a lot of people, like, right now, you've heard like stocks are not doing well, whatever. Yeah, because if the economy is not good, right? Generally the stocks they go down. So you whatever your money you put into the company, you lose. So that's why sometimes they give you higher interest rate than the bank, but whereas bank is guaranteed, stock in these things they're not. Okay? Yeah, question?
Okay, so why is the economy bad? Is it like some people bet on bad stocks or something?
No, it's not. Yeah. So if you like to come after school, don't come to me. Go talk to other Mr. Kim. Go talk to Mr. Kim. He's good. Yeah, he will tell you the whole story. There you go. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. It's got to do with all this housing price. Okay, so here we go. Well, that's not important. Right now, there's another thing that we need to remember when we're doing this problem is if I multiply 3 things, like A times B times C, it could be 1 times 3 times 5 or something. How do we multiply 3 numbers? Yes. Multiply 2 at a time is exactly right? I could do A times B, then multiply that by C, or I could do B times C and then multiply by A. Doesn't matter. Can I do this? I put a big X here. Can I like distribute this? No. When do we distribute, guys? When do we distribute? We only if you have. Well, here we have parentheses. Yes, if you have more than one term, okay. So if you have only one term, that's just whole thing is multiplying. So, but if you have more than one term inside the parentheses, so if you said parentheses, you distribute, that's wrong. Okay, that doesn't tell you that you distribute. Just because you have parentheses doesn't mean you distribute. If you have to have more than one term, this is when you distribute, right, guys? Like this. You don't do it for multiplication, right? Kind of keep that in mind because some people are kind of getting confused. Okay, so now we're ready to do the problems. Are we okay? All right. Yeah, question? I'll wait. Okay, I'll wait. Why don't you read this for us? Go ahead.
Jeremy has $8,000 invested in stocks that gave him a total annual income of money is invested in the stocks at each rate?
Yes. Okay. So, first of all, right, that's not the important part. But what's important is, do you guys understand what this is saying? Like, no. Okay. So basically, remember I told you stock is you're investing your money into these companies, right? Now, how many companies are they investing in? Two. As you can see, there's one that gives you how much interest? 8%. One company gives you 8%. The other company 6.5. Does that make sense? How much money did we give these two companies? $8,000. Do you know how much we gave it to each of them? No. That's what we're going to find out. That's all. So what is this 550 then? Yes. How much money you got back is exactly right. Does that make sense? So does this make sense, guys? Do you see what this is talking about? So whenever you think about stock and bonds and things like that, think about you investing money into these companies. Okay. Yeah, question?
So is the 550,000 the total amount you got from the 8% and the 6.5?
Yes, $550 is the amount of money that you got from both of these companies combined. It's combined, okay, it's combined. It's not just from one, okay? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay, so what are our unknowns? Judy, what's one of our unknown? Right, and there are two companies, right? So we should be a little bit more specific because we don't know what those are. So let X to be how much we invested in which company should we do? One that gave us 8%. Let's do that. Okay, one that gave us 8%. Now then, I would like you to, as a group, figure out how you can then represent the other unknown, which is what class? The other unknown is what? Now, how much they invested in the 6.5. Okay, I want all of you to now think about this. This is actually going back to like first semester. Oh, you already know. Like first and second chapter. This is the same thing that we've been doing, right? Same exact skill. Oh, you guys already know? Anybody more? Okay, all right, fine. Yes, Charlene, you got a question? He invested. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it looks like N. I'll fix that. Okay, but okay, go ahead. Everybody, talk to your group. See if you understand, and ask your group. See if that makes sense. Okay, go ahead. Okay, I'm hearing a lot of you have the right answer. Okay, how about who can tell me? This is the same thing that we've been doing, guys. We have total amount of money that we invested is 8,000. If you let X to be one of them, guess what the other is? By logic, what is it? Raise your hand. How about? Yes. 550 minus X. How many people agree? 550 minus X? Okay. Now, how much money did we invest in? 8,000 altogether. Is 550 the money that we invested? Yeah, it's not 550, but it is. But I'm glad you said that because a lot of people do that on the test or quiz. Please don't do 550 minus X because this X represents how much money we invested. What is 550? What's that, guys? That's how much you got back, right? So you have to have 8,000 minus X for the other one. Does that make sense? Do you guys understand? That's the interest that you got or the profit. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Yes? Okay, so for these type of questions, and again, isn't this the sort of same trick that we did in the very beginning of the semester? Where if you have total amount of money or total amount, if you let one of them be one of the amount, then the other must be, right? If there are only two things, the other must be total minus whatever the other one was. So for these, we're going to use that formula, right? Amount invested times interest rate gives you the interest or the profit if you want to think about it that way. So we're going to do a chart. How many things do we have in this chart? Two. One is the 8% stock. The other is 6.5. Very good. So let's make this chart. Okay, let me move this up a little bit. So you're right. We're going to have two things here. 8% stock. The other 6.5% stock. Question? Where? Amount invested times interest rate equals interest. Yeah. So on top, guess what we're going to have? Amount invested times rate, interest rate, gives you the interest, right? So we make a table. How much money did we invest it? So by the way, look at the top of this. Doesn't this look familiar? Didn't we do something like this for all the other one? Like which one? Which kind of? Yeah, rate times time equals distance. So yes, cost times price for each item gives you the total cost. Yeah, same thing. So right now this is amount, right? How much you invested times the rate interest rate gives you the interest. Same exact kind of process. So the amount we invested for 8,000, amount we invested for 8% is what is it? What did we say? X. What's the other one, class? 8,000. We just did that. 8,000 minus X. Okay. What about then? This is kind of an obvious question. What's the rate for 8% stock?
0.08.
Yeah, which is 8%, right? So this one, everybody. So I actually change it to a decimal, right? How much? What was the interest rate for 8% stock? 8%. That's why it's 8% interest. What's the rate for 6.5% stock? 6.5, right? 6.5 is really 6.5 over 100, which is, you can't really leave decimal on the numerator, can you? So it's 65 over 1,000, so it's 0.065. Do you see how I convert it into a decimal? Well, these I think it's kind of easy to deal with decimal. There are times where you want to change it into a fraction. I'll show you what that is in a minute. But these I think it's just best if you leave it as a decimal. And so what's the interest that you get from 8% stock? Andrew?
You get 0.08x.
Yeah, 0.08x. You just multiply them together. That's what the formula is right up there, right? And of course, obviously, the other one is 0.065 times what, class? 8,000 minus x, exactly. There it is. So those are the interests that we get from 8% stock and 0.065% stock. Would you all agree? Now we have to come up with an equation. Go ahead and do that with your group. See if go read the problem again. See if you can come up with the equation. I'll give you time. How many groups got the equation for this? Not too many. Okay. Oh, okay. Good. All right, Kyle. What did you guys say?
0.08x plus 0.065 parentheses 8,000 minus x equals 550.
Equals 550. Shrug, do you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Because, well, that's what I put.
I don't know. Why did you do that? What made you?
Doesn't make sense.
Why? Why does it make sense? Why doesn't it equal to 8,000 then?
Why is it equal to
Why?
8,000?
Yeah. Why does it not equal to 8,000? Why is it that when you add?
Because 8,000 minus x is, well, it's just the rate of one of them, so there's
That's not the rate. That's actually the amount you invested, right? So Kyle's got it right. Guess what people put down? Instead of 550 on the right side, they put 8,000. Would that make any sense? Why not? That's what I'm asking. Yes. Why would that make? Shh. Oh, hold on, guys. Yeah. Why not?
You try to figure out how much interest you got.
Yes. That's right. 550 is the amount you made, your profit or the interest that you made. Does that make sense? It does not equal to the amount you invested. That'll be great if you put $8,000 and then at the end of the year you get $8,000 back. That's great, but that doesn't really happen. Okay, so unless you're really lucky. Okay, so do you understand why it goes to 550? Because if you add the interest together, it should equal to the interest, right? Does that make sense? Remember how we had distance right here on the other side? Distance plus distance gives you distance, right? Same idea. Does that make sense? Yes? Do we know how to solve this? What should we do to both sides of this equation? Raise your hand if you think you know what to do.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Multiply by 1,000.
That's right. Why 1,000, not 100 or 10 this time? Yes, sir. Yeah, because it goes all the way up to the thousands place. Isn't that right? So multiply both sides by 1,000. Malia, should I multiply the 1,000 when I distribute this to the ones inside the parentheses to 8,000 minus x? No. Why not? Why do we only multiply 1,000 to 0.08x and then 0.065 there? Why not inside the parentheses? Exactly. And now there is an addition right here or something. This is a multiplication, right? You multiply 2 at a time. That's right. So everyone should get 80x plus 65 times 8,000 minus x. Yes, and then when you distribute the 65, in a sense, that's when you're kind of distributing that, right? 1,000. So, and then on the right side, you get 550,000. Any question? Okay, go ahead and solve. See what you get. Go ahead. Finish it up. Okay, so what do we get when we multiply 65 times 8,000? That's really the same thing as 65 times 8 times 1,000, right? So you get 520,000 minus 65x equals to 550,000. By the way, please be careful with these zeros, okay? I cannot tell you how many times people forget to like put one of the zeros, and then the whole thing's wrong, okay? So you gotta keep these zeros, be careful with these, even though they're pretty straightforward. Okay, so 80x minus 65 gives you 15x. Of course, then you subtract 520,000 from both sides. You get 15x equals to 30,000. What's the answer, class? That's right. How many people got 2,000 for x? Very good. Now, am I done, or should I write the solution as a sentence? Who knows what to write? Raise your hand. Who thinks? Yes, sir. Okay, one person knows. Two. Who haven't? I? No, I haven't. Who haven't I called? How about Caroline? What should I write?
The amount invested for 8% is 2,000, and the amount invested for 6.5% is 3,000.
Excellent. I like how you were so specific. You have to do that because, can I just write the amount invested was 2,000? No, that's not specific enough. There were two stock or two companies that they invested in, right? One gave you 8%, the other gave you 6.5%. So you got to be specific in terms of which one, right, was spent on what, okay? Any question? Does this make sense? One of the person actually asked this. Well, why didn't this person invest all the money to that company that gave you 8%? Right? Why would you even bother investing money to that other company where they give you 6.5%? Does that make sense? Right? If they're gonna give you more money, why not invest everything to the Derek? Why not? Yeah, you don't know. This is after the fact. This is after the year, right? Does that make sense? So if you of course knew that, then of course you're gonna invest everything, right, to the higher. But you just don't know this. Yes.
Are gold stocks up again, or is it going down?
I don't know, but that's not. Yeah, Shrock. Yeah. So yeah, that's not the important part for this question. But does this make sense, guys? Do you understand? So when you invest, guys, you're just really gambling, aren't you? You don't know how it's going to do, okay? All right, let's go to the second example. By the way, how do we know that it was 6,000 for 6.5%? We got x equals to 2,000. Where do we get 6,000 from? Yes, Judy. Exactly. 8,000 minus 2,000, right? Because that's how we declare our variable, right? The total was 8,000. If one of them was 2,000, the other must be 6,000, okay? All right. Who wants to read for us example 2? Yes, Anais? Thank you.
Johnson invested the sum of money at 10%. They could have earned the same interest by investing 1,600 less at 12%. How much did they invest?
That's right. Now, what is going on in this problem? Go ahead and, can somebody tell me? Yes.
They had a company, they invested a bunch of money at 10%.
Uh-huh.
But if they invested in a different company or something at 12% and with a lot less money, they would have raised.
Right, with a lot less money. That's the key. How is it possible to get the same amount of interest? Right, that's what they're saying, right? Because it says they could have earned the same interest, right? How is it possible because they invested 1,600 less on this other company? How is it possible that they have the same interest? Is that even possible? Yes, sir.
Because the percentage is higher of interest.
Yeah, the percentage is higher. It makes sense that this company, let's call it first company, they give you 10% if you invested in the other company because they did better than the other company, right? At the end of the year, even though you would have put less money, the money that you get at the end is the same. Does that make sense? Some of you are not so sure. I'm going to give you a chance to talk to your group. See if they get it. Talk to your group and see if that makes sense. Okay. Who thinks... Okay. So, I'm glad I gave you this time to think it through. Who thinks they can explain to the class what this problem is really saying here? Because some people are kind of confused. They weren't really sure what this is saying. Emily, can you do that?
If you and Mr. Kim both start a different.
Okay, me and Mr. Kim, okay, great, okay.
And so.
Who am I? Am I the 10% or the 12%?
You're the 12.
Okay, I'll give you the 12%? Alright, okay, thank you.
Oh, nice.
Alright, fine.
That Mr. Kim is going to do better, so I invest a bunch of money at the rate of 10%.
Uh-huh.
At the end of the year, I get a bunch of money back.
Right.
But then, if I invested in your rate at a higher rate,
Exactly. So let's say that, here's Mr. Kim. Let's say Mr. Kim's right here. I'm right here. You put in, I don't know, $10,000 to Mr. Kim's company. At the end of the year, you got $100 back, right? If you invested not 10,000, but some more money less, like maybe $8,000 to me, you would have gotten the same. You would have gotten $100 back still, because my company did well, and I could give you more interest on the profit, 12%. Does that make sense? That's what this is saying. So who would you rather invest to, me or Mr. Kim? Me. But do you know this going into this problem? No, you don't. You just so they're saying if you would have done this, right? You would get. So what's our unknown first of all? Yes. By the way, do you all understand what's going on? Okay. Yeah. Come in. For 10%. Very good. So, guys. So X is how much you invest. How much? What right? How much did they? Okay. How much did they invest in 10%? Okay, I should have just done how much they invested. Okay. Then how much? Yeah. What's the other one? Yes. One for. Okay. Hold on. Someone else. Yes.
Then X minus 1,600 equals how much they invested in 12%.
Exactly. Actually, they could have. I should have kind of changed that. Yeah. This is what they could have had, right? Invested. Right? Does that make sense? But let's just do it this way. Just make it simple. Now, we know that there are two types of companies. One company, my company, is 12%. Mr. Kim's company is 10%. Mr. Kim's company, that gives 10%. What's the interest rate of Mr. Kim's company? X or 10? Is it 10 or... Yeah, is it 10? Can I write 10 for the rate? No, that means you're getting 10 times the amount that you invested. That'd be great. But it's 10%. That's very different than 10. So what does 10% mean? Yeah, 0.1. 10 over 100. And of course, 12 is 12 over 100, right? So 0.12. Now, how much money did you guys invest in Mr. Kim's company? X. What about mine? Yeah, mine's better because, it turns out at the end of the year, our company did better, right? So, now what's the interest that we got off of 10%? 0.1x. And then what about from mine? Okay. Now, do you all agree with this? It's the same thing. You just multiply the amount times the interest rate gives you the interest. Now, how do we then? Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Okay. I'm sorry?
You switched rate and amount.
Oh yeah, I did that because, that's really good. Yeah, is there a reason? Yeah, I did that because it kind of reminded me of rate times time gives you the distance. So I did, but you don't have to do it. I mean, it just doesn't matter. Yeah, because multiplication is commutative. It doesn't matter which one you multiply. All right, so now, go ahead. Come up with the formula. See if you could figure it out. Everybody try. Okay, I'll give you time. Some of you were kind of confused as to, so, we need an equation, right? An equation is something equals another, right? What's equal to what? Caroline?
The 10% rate is equal to the 12%.
Not the rate, because 10 and 12 is different, right? What's equal to each other? The interest, that's right. Why are the interests equal to each other? Elizabeth? Why are the interests equal to each other?
Well, because even if you put like 10% in one and 12% in the other, the 10% did better, so you ended up making the same.
No, 12% did better. So you put less money to 12%, right? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So that's why they're equal to each other. Isn't that what the question is saying? Because on the top of the, right, read the question. It says what? Yeah, it says same interest by investing, right? They could have earned the same interest. So did you all do this? And I was kind of glad to see people actually leaving things as a fraction. Okay, instead of 1 over 10, you could actually do it as a fraction, the same thing. Okay, I just did it this way because you could just get rid of it by multiplying both sides by 100. Okay, so you get 10x equals to 12 times x minus 16. Again, you don't multiply this 100 to x minus 16. Okay, 1600. You don't, because this is a times b times c. You multiply two at a time, right? Do you see any addition in the middle of these two parentheses? No. That only time you distribute is if you see more than one term. Even though this thing has more than one term, that's like one factor of the other. Like this is your A, this is your B, this is your C. Now, when you distribute this, right, that's when you are going to distribute that 100, kind of, essentially. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so when I do this, I get 10x equals to 12x minus 19,200. Right, guys? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So please do not distribute this 100 to the ones inside the parentheses, okay? You're multiplying three things. You multiply two at a time, right? One thing here, another thing. Anyway, so we subtract 12x from both sides. And you know what? I'm really glad that I got negative 2 on the left side. I'm so glad that this is negative 2. Why am I glad? Yes?
Because the other one is
Yeah, because the other number is negative. If it wasn't negative 2, if it was positive 2, then it would have been negative. So we did something wrong. You know what I mean? You know, you don't invest negative amount of money to some company. Yeah. Sure. And then you get positive. Yeah. Then you multiply by negative 2. How many people got 9,600?
Oh,
Very good.
I got.
Christine, how should I write this as the answer? What are they asking here? So what would you write?
you would have invested 9,600 with a 10%.
Exactly. There you go. They invested 9,600 for 10%. Does that make sense? You got that? Now, how much money could you have invested for that other one for 12%? They're not asking this one, but if you wanted to figure this out, what would that be? Lara?
8,000.
8,000, because you would just subtract
1,600 from 9,600.
exactly. Subtract 1,600, right? Does that make sense? But they didn't ask for that one, right? Does that make sense though? So I kind of wrote this down because watch this, guys. If you invested 9,600 for 10%, the interest rate would be same as what? If you would have invested $8,000 for 12%, right? Now, if you knew this was going to happen, you would have put down 8,000, right, and spend the other money on something else. Does that make sense? So anyway, but all you would say is this. Okay, you invested. This is all they were asked. That's all they're asking. How much they invested for 10%. Are we good? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to the third one then. Okay, here's example 3. The Smiths invested 3/4 of their money, at 12%, and the rest at 8%. Now this one's a little bit different because they don't tell you like how much they invested and so forth, right? If their annual income from the investment is $1,320, how much did they invest? How much have they invested? Okay, now, what is your unknown? Raise your hand if you think you know. Derek? Which amount? Yeah, exactly. X is the total amount of money that you invested. That's what they're asking for, right? All right, but we know that they invested in 2 different companies or stock, right? So how much did they invest on the one that gave you 12%? It says X equals the total amount of money they invested. Okay. Now, how much did they invest on Anais? Anais? How much they invested on the one that gives you 12% interest? Hey, did you have a question, Aaron?
What's this after money?
Invested?
Oh,
He's blind, that's why.
Okay. And it's not written the best way it could. Okay, so Anais, what is the amount of money that there was invested for 12% then? If X is the amount of money that you invested for total.
3/4 of the money.
So how would you represent that? Shh. How would you represent it? Shh. What do you think? If X is the amount of money that you invested for total,
1320 times 3/4.
no. 1320 is not the amount of money that you invested. Be careful. That's the annual income. That's your profit. Okay, please be careful. I'm glad you said that because a lot of people will do that. They haven't told us what the amount of money that you invested total, but we declare it as X. So you had the right idea. What do we need to do with this X? How much of this X do we?
By 3/4.
Yeah, exactly. So if you were to multiply that by 3/4, the X, not the 1320. I cannot tell you how many times I see people multiply 3, 4 times 1320. That'll be wrong. 1320 is the amount of money that you got back. Does that make sense? That's the profit, not the amount you invested. Okay, then how do we represent the other? Because it says the rest. One person see it? This is kind of obvious. 2, 3. Maybe it's so simple people don't see it. If you invested 3/4 of the if you invested 3/4 of it, then what's the rest? Yeah, Sophia.
1/4.
Yeah, 1/4 is the 1/4, 8%. You get this? Can you then set up the equation? Can you set up the table and then come up with the equation? Go ahead, I'll give you time. Everybody try. Okay, so what's the rate for 12%? Come on, that's
12.
yeah. Well, is it 12? No, you don't write 12.
12.
Yeah, so yeah, but this time I kept it as a fraction. You'll see why in a minute. Okay. Okay, so this time I kept it as a fraction. 12% is 12 over 100, so I simplify. Always simplify. 3 over 25. 8 over 100 is 2 over 25. What's the amount that we invested for 12% class? Huh? What's the amount that we invested for 12%?
3x over 4.
Yes, 3 over 4. And then what about the other one?
X over 4.
Yeah, 1/4 x over 4, 1/4 x. Would you not agree? So of course the interest is now. Do you guys see why I kept it as a fraction? Yeah, because the amount is in fractions. So I kept it as a fraction because when you multiply, for the first one you simply get 9 over 100x. Is that right? You see, and the other one you get 2 over 100x. Now. Would you not agree? That's nice. Because I have it as a fraction, the amount. So why not keep the rate as fraction too? Because things will cancel out or make it nice. Question? Sure, you could actually 2x over 100, you could write 1 over 50, but I kept it because they're going to have a common denominator. But it's okay, you could have done that. So, what's our equation? This should be pretty straightforward. One person knows? Elizabeth, what's our equation?
I got 3x over 4 times 12 over 100 plus 2 over, no, plus 8 over 100 and then 6x over 4 equals 1,000.
Yes, but that's exactly right. But then I multiply them out. So I wrote it this way. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Now, did anybody? Okay, did you see how it all equals to rate, right? Interest. When you add 2 interest, you get the interest, right? Don't put down something else. Okay. Does that make sense? And of course, I'm going to multiply both sides by 100, and it just becomes simply 9x plus 2x equals to 132,000. Of course, when I add 9x plus 2x, you get 11x. Divide both sides by 11, you get? Don't we get 12,000? And so here's the answer. Isn't that what they're asking? The amount they invested total? How many people got 12,000 as the answer? Very good, very good. Do you think you could do this for your homework tonight? Very good. All right.